Hello, welcome to today's lesson where we'll be talking about the proper and appropriate way to interrupt someone in a business setting. To interrupt means to look for a chance to add your voice to a conversation or discussion while someone else is in the middle of speaking. Normally, interrupting can be seen as rude or impolite if done incorrectly, like so. Want to hear a joke? Okay. Have you heard of Murphy's Law, that if something can go wrong, will go wrong? Oh yeah, I've heard that one before. Well, have you heard of coleslaw? Oh, I've heard this joke before. It's mostly cabbage, right? Like coleslaw? That's too funny. However, I'm here to help guide you to how to correctly interrupt someone when your input absolutely needs to be heard. First off, let's look at some possible scenarios for interrupting. Keep in mind that these aren't every possible scenario, but rather a few examples, as the context of the situation will always be different and it's up to you to determine if it's an appropriate time to interrupt or not. You weren't paying attention and now you want to know what you missed. You want to correct someone who has the wrong information. There is some urgent or emergency information you need to share right away. A thought popped in your mind and you want to express it immediately. You want to add an opinion which you think will benefit the discussion. As you can see, these different scenarios have different reasons to interrupt with different levels of importance, but all of them have a way to work without coming off as rude or disrupting the flow of the conversation. One of the best ways to make that possible is by starting with an interrupting phrase, to let that speaker know that you have something to add, giving them the option to allow you to speak instead of just immediately cutting them off without any say in the matter. There are two types of language for interrupting phrases, formal and informal. Formal phrases are more often used in a professional setting where politeness is key. Informal still has that rule of politeness, but is used more often between friends and family, situations that aren't professional. Some examples of formal phrases can be seen here. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but... I hate to interrupt, but... I'm sorry, but... Excuse me for interrupting, but... I'd like to say something if you don't mind. Do you mind if I add something? As a personal preference, I tend to say, excuse me, before saying these phrases, as to grab the speaker's attention before letting them know I mean to add my own input. It should go a little something like this. And then I said, well, to be frank, Excuse me, I'm sorry for interrupting, but can you please tell me where the director's new office is? I've been searching all morning in this building, but I can't seem to find it. Oh, right, it's actually in the next building over now. 4th floor, room 20. Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying, to be frank, I'd have to change my name. Ha ha ha. Now, with informal phrases, the politeness still should be there. However, you don't have to be as polite as you would in a formal setting. Phrases you can use when speaking informally can be, well, am I interrupting? Could I butt in? Could I add? Excuse me, but... You're able to use these phrases anytime you want to add your own input into a conversation that you weren't previously a part of. Here's an example. So are we heading to the sports game on Saturday? Yeah, I'm hyped up and ready to see my team win it. Isn't the game canceled due to the pandemic? Oh, right. How silly of us to forget that. Pause for a second. Did you catch what this guy did differently than the other examples? He waited until the other two had finished their sentence before adding his own input. This is one of the best things you can do when wanting to appropriately interrupt. Here are some other guidelines that are just as important as the one we just discussed. Make eye contact. If the person speaking sees that you're making eye contact with them, it gives them a clue that you might want to add your own input. Wait until the speaker pauses. Just like we discussed before, if you wait for them to pause in the middle of their discussion, it gives you a better opening to say what you want to say instead of the middle of someone's sentence. It's impolite to eavesdrop on and interrupt a stranger's conversation. The only reason you should interrupt a stranger's conversation is if you hear the wrong information, such as wrong directions to a location. But other than that, when it comes to a stranger's conversation, you should just keep to yourself. Wait for acknowledgement from the speaker. This way, the previous speaker is giving you permission to add in your own input in the middle of the discussion. With these guidelines and opening phrases in your mind, you now have the tools to appropriately interrupt someone without them seeing you as rude. But what if there's a situation where the roles are reversed? What if someone does rudely interrupt you while you're in the middle of conveying your thoughts? How are you able to stop someone from doing that and losing your control over the discussion? Well, I have the answer for that too. Sometimes when you are talking, you don't want to be interrupted. If someone tries to interrupt you anyway, you can politely stop or delay the interruption by using these phrases. Again, these are split up into formal and informal variations. Formal examples include, "May I continue? May I finish? Excuse me, I haven't finished. Just a moment, please." While the informal examples are, "Let me finish. Hang on a second," or "Hold on a second." This is what it looks like in action. As you can see on this chart, our profits have been steadily increasing by 7% every quarter. Is there any way to boost those numbers up? Well, we do have one option. That is, we could try advertising to a larger demographic. That surely will. "Excuse me, may I finish? We appreciate your enthusiasm and value your opinion, but please allow me to finish my thoughts before we'll gladly listen to yours." "Oh, yes, I'm terribly sorry. Please, continue." As you see in this example, this guy goes more in depth and politely lets that guy know that they encourage the sharing of opinions, but would want to hear them after this guy finishes what he was going to say, which is a way to not be harsh when stopping someone from interrupting. Now let's put your knowledge of interrupting to the test with these examples. While going through the examples, please consider these points. Who was impolite in this dialogue? What mistakes did he or she make? How could you correct this, and how would you make the communication better? Conversation 1. "Hey Grandma, are you coming over for Christmas?" "I'm not sure yet, sweetie. My back is really hurting and—" "Oh no, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you need to sit down?" "Oh, don't worry. I'm okay right now. Thanks for asking." Pause the video if you want to think the discussion points over. Conversation 2. "Anna, did you see the new Star Wars movie yet?" "No, not yet. I was busy with homework to make time." "Oh, I did. I love the part where Rey and Kylo Ren—" "Hey, she hasn't finished the movie yet. Don't spoil it for her." "Oh, sorry." Conversation 3. "Why were you on my laptop?" "I needed to write a paper yesterday, so—" "Why couldn't you use Mom's computer?" "She doesn't have Microsoft Word, and—" "So you were the one who was messing with my files." "Hold on. Let me finish. It was already broken when I used it." Conversation 4. "Holly, is your sister doing okay?" "I'm afraid she's still in the hospital for a while longer, but—" "Holly, can I borrow you for a sec? I can't reach the art supplies from the top shelf." "Do you mind? We're talking about something serious here." "Oh, my bad." Conversation 5. "Why do you think the author included this detail?" "I think they wanted to show the character's growth." "Great, Jenna. Does anyone else have anything to say?" "The main villain seems to be having his own problems as well." "That's true. Thanks for sharing. Let's see what others have to add." Let's try this as well. I'm going to give you 3 different prompts, and you're going to have to find a way to appropriately interrupt during the situation. Your employee wants to give his input while you're proposing an important business plan at a company meeting. Your child wants your attention while you're on the phone. Your cousin wants to play video games with you while you're telling your family a story. Well, there you have it. Now that you've finished this video, you have the ability to appropriately interrupt and control the discussion from being rudely interrupted. I hope you take this information out into the business world and use it to your advantage. That's all from me, so good luck on your studies and continue on learning.